All right, so this is New World. It's the video is by. Whoops, hold on. This is New World. It's a video by Force Gaming. I've seen a few of his videos in the past, and they're very good. It's about 21 minutes long, but I watched like the first couple of minutes, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good video. And we started talking about it on stream, and a lot of you guys were like, let's watch that. So we'll watch it. I stopped playing New World after the pre-alpha. And the changes that they made immediately afterwards to PvP turned me off from the game. Now it suddenly piqued my interest again, so I might swing back and take a look at maybe possibly playing it again when it comes out. So let's enjoy the video.
Back here once again with another update for New World. This latest alpha patch went through this past week, and with it another round of big changes for the game. It's actually getting to the point where I need to start coming up with better titles for my New World videos beyond it's another big update, because once again it is. Anyway, they added the new Eastern inspired endgame zone of Ebb and Scale. Along with that also comes several new enemy types. We've got a new expedition called the Garden of Genesis, which is the second instance dungeon that we...
So for those of you that haven't played New World, like I said, I played in the pre-alpha. These graphics that you're seeing, this is actually in-game graphics. Like this is not like you know how they make trailers look really good. This is actually in-game graphics. Like the graphics are, whether the gameplay is good or not, that's one thing, but the graphics are absolutely phenomenal.
We know of. This one, home to the Angry Earth, is filled with elemental protectors and has 2 boss encounters. On top of that, the first iteration of Outpost Rush is in the game. They've added voiceover for all of the main story quests. There are new ways to acquire weapon and armor sets while leveling, and there's about 10 pages of sweeping changes for every weapon in the game. So yeah, once again, it's a big update. In fact, it's actually gotten to the point where it's starting to exceed my expectations.
This is what dungeons look like. I don't even know if they're instanced. I think they are. But this is what dungeons look like.
Expectations for what they were actually going to be able to get done between the preview event last August and the upcoming release. I mean, these updates have been happening once a month, and we're still 5 months away from the planned August 31st launch. Now, ultimately, it's still up in the air if this game is going to be any good, or maybe even more importantly for MMO fans, whether or not it's going to have any longevity. But in the meantime, I think these
That's what we were talking about earlier. Remember that? Vesmic? That's what we were talking about earlier, right? Whether it's going to have any longevity. If it's good, it will. If it doesn't, it won't.
updates are a really, really good sign. Like, this game is definitely headed, I think, in a good direction. So let's take a closer look at the new content, what's changed, and everything that's coming with this update. So first off, we've got some new content in Ebb and Scale Reach. This was actually first teased in last month's update, and it's now officially in the game, the alpha version of the game. It's a brand new zone for players level 51 and above. This is located north of Monarch's Bluff and west of Brightwood. The land is filled with lush wetlands, waterfalls, high mountain peaks, and this Eastern-themed architecture. Now, the zone and the story behind it is that there's a fallen empress here who has built up a corrupted army.
Conic, that's just the one zone, man. That's just the one zone.
And what this means is actually we've got some new enemies in the game. This is called the Corrupted Dynasty enemy type, with musketeers, heavies, warriors, spear captains, summoners, and maidens, as well as tigers and corrupted tigers. Now, there have been no details on if or how these are going to be different from the other corrupted enemy faction that's already in the game. Hopefully, it's going to include some unique mechanics to make combat interesting beyond just being visually distinct. Next, we've got the Garden of Genesis. This is the second instance dungeon in New World that we know about. The first one that we heard about last month, it was filled with this lost enemy faction. We saw a bit of gameplay and flyby footage for that. Now, this new one, the Garden of Genesis, is located in the northwest part of the Eden Grove crater and is said to be the birthplace of the Angry Earth. So players who enter this dungeon will have to face off against these elemental protectors as they attempt to purge a mysterious blight. Something something that they noted here is that in order to actually enter the dungeon, you're going to have to complete 2 attunement quests. And I actually really like this. Like, it has some sort of a build up to going into the dungeons rather than just hitting a level requirement and then waltzing on in. I like whether or not it's going to be story or just scene setting or whatever, having these attunements to get into these dungeons is just, I kind of like that feature. Now, they also specified that the dungeon is going to feature 2 boss encounters. There's the Caretaker, who is a giant lurking in murky waters, and then the Blighted Greenskeeper, which is actually defending the heart of the garden itself. I'm assuming this is the final boss in this dungeon. Now, when we first heard about dungeons or expeditions, as they're calling it, there were some questions, like specifically I was curious how many bosses they intended to include. So it looks like somewhere around 2, at least that's what they've said for this Garden of Genesis. And then we've got some general changes that took place. They've actually introduced their first iteration of Outpost Rush. That's this new 20 vs 20 endgame PvP mode. Not a ton of new details here beyond what we've already learned.
So this is going to be, I guess, sort of similar to your Battleground. I think they're excuse me, I think they're instant space, obviously 20 versus 20. So I don't know much excuse me. I don't know much about the Battlegrounds though. I have a problem with where I compare any I played a WoW, it's broken but that will not keep people what won't keep people interested? It's just one of the Battlegrounds. I think they're gonna have more.
It's going to be an attacking and defending team. There's some PvE elements where you can summon creatures, and it's supposed to be, again, it's on a smaller scale than the war system, the faction war system of 50 versus 50. They did say we're going to be getting some more information with the upcoming April patch, so we'll have to stay tuned for that. There was some sort of updates to the main story quest line through levels 40, but I think the biggest and one of the...
That's one thing I'm worried about, Thomas, is the fluidity of combat. Like, when you watch videos of New World, like their melee players, like at the beginning it looked really clunky. But I've seen videos recently where it looks a lot more fluid. So hopefully they've updated it a little bit, but it looked really awkward to PvP with, you know, it almost felt like me carrying a sword and trying to use it. I'd be better at it than people in I don't know, in game, and I've never used a sword before, so.
The more interesting things that they've done here is they've said they've added English voiceover for all of the main story quests as well as the starting areas. Now, this is absolutely huge, really. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to sit through every line of dialogue necessarily, but I think having voice work in the game, for one, is great for people who love to get into the storytelling and immersion, you know, following this grand narrative in these games. But two, just also like world building. I talked about this in the past after that New World preview event. One thing that the game really felt like it was lacking is like a sense of world filled with inhabitants. Like, there are NPCs in the game, in these towns, but no one ever said anything. Like, NPCs wouldn't greet you and say goodbye when you went to the shops or as you walked by or whatever. And that kind of makes the game world feel a little dead. Hopefully some of this voice work that they're putting in the game actually bleeds into just having like NPC chatter, I guess really is what it comes down to. I would love to see that in New Worlds because I felt like it was something that was severely lacking from that preview event. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to the armor and weapon quest. This is actually going to be...
I don't think it looks like Elder Scroll. I mean, I think the graphics are far better than anything that's out right now.
Some new quest chains for players to craft and obtain rare armor and weapons.
Graphics don't make the game, Vesmic, but it does help. And anyone who comes in and says graphics doesn't mean shit in a game is full of shit. Okay? I'm telling you this right now. Yeah, but if you had RuneScape with better graphics, does that make it a worse game or does that make it a better game? Like, you can have a game with tremendous graphics and it still be a very good game or make it even more enjoyable. Like, you can't tell me that if things look better, you don't enjoy, maybe possibly, if they look better and still has the great gameplay, it's better. Right? I don't know how else to explain it. Like, like any guy in the world, okay, wants a girlfriend with a great personality, right? Obviously, that's what we're looking for is a girlfriend with a great personality. But if that great personality comes with, you know, I don't know, a nice figure as well, you're probably sitting there going, oh, bonus. So, I don't know.
Weapons starting at level 4.
Well, Juice Man, it's in alpha. It's or like late alpha, dude. Like we don't know that you're only gonna have 3 or 4 abilities. Okay, and like you don't know that you're gonna have only 3 or 4 abilities. It's alpha right now. Like they're just testing the game out.
40 to kind of give you some sort of.
I'm not a sugar daddy, okay? I'm not a sugar daddy. But everybody likes stuff when it looks a little bit better. You can have great gameplay and have great graphics. You don't have to be one of those people that's like, oh, it's got great graphics, so it's going to be a shit game. You can have good gameplay and good graphics. It can be done.
Gear sets to work towards while you're going through that leveling process. So for the armor quest, these will be unlocking at levels 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. They say these will provide unique recipes with no skill requirement.
You know what the problem with World of Warcraft's graphics is? Their new graphics suck. Like when you're sitting there talking about, well, what about Classic WoW? What about Classic WoW? Like new WoW, their graphics have aged extremely poorly. Like, I think the graphics in retail, they just don't do it for me. And the graphics in Classic, to me, don't do it for me either. They are decent enough. Like, they get by. But I won't play RuneScape. I look at RuneScape and people tell me, oh, it's a great game. I won't play it because it looks like shit. I won't play RuneScape because I think it looks like shit. You know what other game I really used to love in the past? Ultima Online. I played that game for like 5 fucking years straight. I skipped school. I dropped out of school because of that game. I fucking loved that game. But I look at Ultima Online now. I won't go play it. I won't go play it now. It looks like shit. So you can't tell me graphics don't mean anything. Graphics do mean something.
So that players can craft the items after gathering their ingredients. So the light armor quests are going to be found in Weaver's Fen, medium and Cutlass Keys, and heavy in Brightwood. And this armor is going to have set bonuses, granting increased stats depending on the number of pieces equipped.
So they're doing set bonuses much like they have in other games, which I guess that can be expected. But this is kind of neat. He's going into how they're doing crafting, and it seems like in this game that crafting is actually a very, very, very important part of the game. Which is nice.
Equipped. I am curious what this is actually going to mean for those pieces that are unlocked at, say, levels 40 and 45. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work. Maybe the set bonuses will scale as you level. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, that's the armor quest. There will also...
If WoW has anything like other game graphics, it would fail. I don't know that I agree with that, Crack. How many times have we shown the World of Warcraft with... Unreal Engine graphics, and people in my chat been, wow, that's amazing, I'd play that. You guys have seen those videos, right? World of Warcraft done with Unreal Engine. Every time I show those videos in chat, people are looking at them going, oh man, that looks freaking awesome, I'd try that. But there's a few people who don't like change at all, and they're like, no, I would never play that. That's fine, but there's an awful lot of people that are in the chat going, fuck, that looks fucking awesome. But you can run WoW on a potato. More folks can play it. Big Bud, part of the problem with Blizzard is their servers suck ass. Like there are games that have far better graphics than World of Warcraft that can be played on the same machines that play World of Warcraft. The problem is Blizzard servers seem to suck ass, and that's why when you have more than like 30 people in the same area, it fucking lags to shit. You can't PvP suddenly because everybody's locking up. Yet for some reason, some kids in Russia can have a private server and the game runs perfectly smoothly, right? Or Guild Wars 2. You have 60 on 60 attacking people in one area. Game runs smoothly. But for some reason, Blizzard with their shit servers, they can't do that. So you can have a game with far better graphics than World of Warcraft. and a lot of people would play it. Now, there's going to be some people that'll be like, no, fuck that. I would never play that game because it's not World of Warcraft's graphics. I will not fucking play that game. They'll just be stubborn about it, and that's fine. You're going to have people like that. But I guarantee you right now, if World of Warcraft came out with a revamped version of the game with Unreal Engine graphics like we've shown on stream, you're going to have a lot of people that are looking at that saying, I'm going to try that. I would try it. I for sure would try it. There's no way I wouldn't try it. Have you seen how they create the graphics for the Unreal Engines? How many textures it has? Because Blizzard don't give a fuck about WoW. They're Activision now. They promote COD and Crash Bandicoot. Blizzard literally take care of Candy Crush for Activision. Well, I mean, like I said, if another company came out with a video game that had great gameplay and fantastic graphics, I'm going to try it. For sure I'm going to try it. I'm not married to World of Warcraft. Graphics get you in the door, but that door is small because it requires a high-end PC and internet remain competitive, a lower population. Dude, you can run a game with much better graphics than World of Warcraft for basically on the same PC that you need for running World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft, their servers are shit. Period. And that is one of the big problems with World of Warcraft. Like, we're talking graphics that are basically in the neighborhood of what people are playing in Final Fantasy. Right? Like, it's literally that. Like, you could massively improve the graphics for World of Warcraft, and improve is subjective, obviously, right? Like, some people think Classic's graphics are perfect. I think they're fine. You know, like, the gameplay is what makes Classic or TBC what it is to me. But I mean, let's be honest, if this fire actually looked like a real fucking fire, I'd be fine with that. Okay, let's continue. We
also
are talking
some
about
weapon
New World.
quest, and these will be similar with no skill requirements, just having you gather materials and forge a weapon. Now, as of now, they said there are quests for a sword, great axe, bow, fire, and life staff. And like the armor, each of these quests will be found in different
I want to see some actual PvP or combat. I want to see how clumsy it looks.
zones. I like this. I like the idea that they're going to have, besides the stuff that you randomly find as you're leveling up or that you get in dungeons or whatever, having
Thanks for the
this
follow,
like
dude.
progression and these set pieces that you can work towards as you're making your way from levels 1 to the max level 60. I think that's a good idea. Okay, so we've got some progression changes here next. They said that they decreased the experience required to level from 8 to 60 by 10%. Of course, this means faster leveling, but at the same time, they also
I mean, that's gameplay right there. I mean, how clunky does this look to you? I mean, it's at ranged.
I think that's
this is actual gameplay here.
Okay, so we've got some progression changes here. Here next, they said that they decreased the experience required to level from 8 to 60 by 10%. Of course, this means faster leveling, but at the same time, they also decreased the experience gained from PvP faction missions by a range of anywhere from 5% to 18%. So we're going to be getting less experience from those PvP quests. Now, if you don't know, the whole idea here with this PvP faction quest system was to try to incentivize people to flag for PvP. If you flag for PvP, you would have these specific quests available, and it wouldn't even necessarily say like go out and kill players. Sometimes they might, but it would.
Crack D. Any game like this, like BOD, that does not have tab targeting is going to have garbage online PvP because of delay. Crack D, did you ever play Guild Wars 2 in like the server versus server stuff? And you didn't enjoy that? I love the shit out of with mass clutter there's bad ping. Well, I mean the ping to the server is not changing because of clutter. Like, that's not changing. It's just a matter of whether or not your PC is able to handle it. My PC, when did Guild Wars 2 come out? Like 10 years ago? And like, I love the shit out of Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 was fucking amazing. I played Melee. It was awesome. I had an absolute blast playing Guild Wars 2. So, I mean, until we actually see the PvP, like what he was doing in this game seemed fine to me.
It would be you're flagged for PvP, go out there and gather these chests or kill these enemies in this location, come back and do all that without dying while flagged for PvP. And it's a whole risk versus reward. Because you risk potentially dying and failing the quest, you would get bonus experience. I don't know, it's a fine line to...
I don't play Guild Vesmic. I mean, come on, man. How many times do I need to make the same point? Why did I tell you that I don't play Guild Wars 2 anymore? Like, seriously, man. Like, I'm about to time you out because you're just not... You're just ignoring points, man. You aren't going to get stream snipe in World versus World? Are you fucking kidding me? That's why I don't stream it, dude. You can't command... First of all, I had commander on, like, every character that I had. You are definitely going to get stream sniped in Guild Wars 2 repeatedly. Like, if I was to go stream Guild Wars 2 right now, if I had 100 people watching my stream, I don't know how. Like, I'm pretty sure I would be one of the higher streamers in Guild Wars 2. I'd get noticed. I know they don't have like tons of streamers that have hundreds of viewers, but I don't stream I don't play Guild Wars 2 because I can't stream it. Specifically because all I do is World versus World. So I already explained that to you.
Balance, and you've got two different crowds between the PvP and PvE fans. I enjoy both, and I like that sense of danger that comes with the PvP aspect. If I want to get this faster leveling experience, this better quest, I'm gonna run that risk of getting killed in the process. I like that, but while flagged for... If you
watch this watch this, I don't think it's PvP, I think it's PvE, but watch this melee PvE. Does it look clunky
flagged
to you?
for PvP, you would have these specific quests available, and it wouldn't even necessarily say like go out and kill players. Sometimes they might, but it would be you're flagged for PvP, go out there and gather these chests or kill these enemies in this location.
Watch him go after this guy
and do all that without dying while flagged for PvP. And it's a whole risk versus reward. Because you risk potentially dying and failing the quest, you would get bonus experience.
Did that look terribly clunky to you?
I don't know, it's a fine line to balance, and you've got two different crowds between the PvP and PvE fans. I enjoy both, and I like that sense of danger that comes with the PvP aspect. If I want to get this fast...
I think this is actually a player, because this guy's actually like deliberately bouncing back. Watch this. Or he's deliberately bouncing back. Not from being hit.
I enjoy both.
So watch this. I think he's deliberately going back.
Both, and I like that sense of danger that comes with the PvP
he's deliberately
aspect.
going back.
If I want to get this faster leveling experience, this better quest, I'm gonna run that risk of getting killed in the process. I like that, but obviously they're making these fine-tune adjustments. Just the overall idea, like I don't love seeing those nerfs to those PvP quests, but it's not the end of the world. Some more changes here. Players killing weaker creatures will now suffer diminishing returns on experience gains. This wasn't the case in the past, so you'd see people like just farming low-level creatures to level up super quickly. That's going to be taking a hit. I think that is a good change. They've done some adjusting to the level range for skull icon enemies. So enemies in the game with skull icons would outright kill a player rather than leaving them at death's door, potentially getting revived. And they would also have increased perception range of 10 meters and would not get staggered. Now, previously, a skull icon would be displayed on an enemy that was 6 levels above a player. Now it's going to be displayed on enemies that are 10 levels above a player. So this gives you a wider range of still actually being able to take on enemies above your level before they just outright destroy you, basically. Moving on, some changes to loot and gear. There is going to be more loot and better loot dropping more often. This is done through a variety of changes. So now weapons will be more likely to drop with attributes actually relevant to that weapon. So this will mean...
That was the same way in World of Warcraft. Early World of Warcraft, I believe in beta. And I think actually early classic or vanilla, you'd have weapons that had stats on it that made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
fewer fire staffs that have strength on them, for example. They've increased the chance of items dropping with gem slots. We've also going to be seeing an increase in rare and epic item drops. They've added additional named items to expeditions, so these will be unique items for each of these dungeons, and they can drop from obviously the bosses, but also the mini bosses and any basic enemies in those dungeons. After level 10, any quest reward containers for armor and weapons are now going to always drop an uncommon or higher item, and large chest will now drop between 2 and 3 items. And with all of this new better gear dropping, they've made it so that all equipable items are now either bind on equip or bind on pickup. Of this, they say that this was an important step to protect the item economy and keep demand for quality items.
That's the same as other
high.
MMOs.
I don't disagree with this, like, but having bind
That's the same as other MMOs, bind on pickup, bind on
equip or bind on pickup items. It's pretty standard fare for a lot of MMOs.
You got a shield with shadow damage on it. That's hilarious, man.
And I think it's a smart move now that there's going to be so many more better items with better stats and higher rarities and these new unique named items. They don't want the market flooded with this stuff. There has to, again, be a balance of that item economy. Moving on to some gathering and crafting changes. These are kind of not as interesting to me, but I want to point out some of the highlights here. They updated drop rates for rare gathering resources like Fey Iron so that they're going to be dropping more often and at higher quantities.
Look at this is cool how they're mining and stuff.
And with this, they adjusted the crafting requirements for any named items you make. They've also adjusted the refining requirements for precious metals. They've added a new set of crafting modifiers that let you apply a specific attribute to items. I really like this. And then some food.
I really like crafting. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I like really good crafting systems.
Food and buff changes. They've increased the attribute bonuses provided by food, making food better. They've tuned the health recovery food buff to recover more health, but over a longer period. They've adjusted the buff durations on food, potion, and coatings so that higher tiers will last longer. They've also added material converters to the faction shop. So this is going to actually let you convert refining reagents like sandpaper to other refining reagents with a small loss of efficiency. So if you've got a ton of sandpaper, but you want more stones or something, I don't know, you can actually do a conversion. You're just going to lose some in the process. But it's pretty cool if you're overwhelmed with one resource and you want some more of another. There was actually quite a few other changes in this section, but
Holy
again,
shit.
I don't find a lot of this stuff super interesting. So if you want like the specifics, check out the actual patch notes in the link below. Next up, there were some fishing changes. They've polished the fishing quest objectives and improved.
When I played pre-alpha, I don't remember there ever being fishing. This is something that they've come out with since. But I mean, this looks, I mean, seriously, this looks fucking cool. Look at this fish, the guy fishing.
Super interesting. So if you want like the
This looks
specifics,
really...
check out the actual patch notes in the link below. Next up, there were some fishing changes. They've polished the fishing quest objectives and improved the rewards. They've also included new fishing armor.
Like, sure, maybe, you know, gameplay is the most important thing, but something as simple as like how the guy's fishing and stuff like that kind of helps you with the immersion into the game and stuff like that. And thus it helps you like enjoy the game even more. Like, that just looks, I mean, it's fishing. It should be simple, but it looks really actually neat. Like how much effort, how much they put into this.
Specialty fishing poles, pretty cool for the fishing fans out there. Next up, some user interface adjustments here. They made improvements to the inventory screen, changing its overall presentation. So they added a full character view for players to get to actually visually inspect their loadouts while they're looking at their inventory. They improved the layout for a more convenient drag and drop system. They've also adjusted and updated all of the icons to have a single size grid square, so just to give a more compact format. And they made it easier to see the threshold amounts on your equipment load, which, you know, lets you decide if the armor that you're wearing puts you in the light, medium, or heavy category. I really like the way that this thing...
So wait, do they have a weight limit that you can carry as well as an item limit? I'm wanting to say that they do, and if they do, I love that. I think they do, actually. I think that's what this is up here, this number here or something. Or maybe that's how many inventory pieces, and this is how many. If they have a weight limit of stuff that you can carry as well as an item limit, I would love that actually.
Looks compared to the old inventory system. I like inventories that will show your character as you like swap armor and stuff.
I think that's what that's supposed to be. I think that's, I'll have to find out, but I think that's what this number here is. So I'll have to check that out, but if they have both, that would be really kind of cool. And I think I heard somewhere where the armor that you wear, it may protect you more, but it makes you less able to move around quickly or something like that. I think I heard that somewhere about New World.
Show your character as you like swap armor and stuff. I just think this looks slick and a lot better than what they've had in the past. All right, so the next big section here is changes that are taking place to the combat, attribute points, armor, and equipment load. So let's get into this.
Here we go.
First off, there was another AI combat update. This is actually part 3 of the combat overhaul. They're just continuing to tune and refine the game's existing AI. They say that now actually potions are going to have cooldown timers. These will be shared amongst the types, so any health, mana, or regeneration potions will have individual cooldowns for each type, and drinking a potion is now actually considerably faster, that animation, and is no longer going to slow you down while you're moving. They've also made changes to the default block angle. It is now a frontal 180 degrees. The previous angle was 90 degrees, so now the blocking degrees is twice as much, and they've updated the functionality on melee attacks to make it more consistent if you're hitting enemies that are shorter than you or any enemies that are above or below you on an incline. Just
like all this gameplay that we've watched, whoever's playing this character doesn't look like he's having much trouble playing melee. Like honestly, when I was playing alpha, it seemed like that was going to be the clunkiest thing, but whoever's playing this character doesn't seem to be having a problem.
Resulting in fewer misses. That's one of those things that can actually kind of play into the combat feeling inconsistent or clunky even. Just trying to tune up and make combat and attacking more reliable. That's a good change. So now on to the attribute rework. They've increased the amount of damage scaling per attribute point invested. They say that they want players to invest in the appropriate attribute to use weapons efficiently. With this, they've tuned the Constitution attribute so that the percentage of increased health is going to be generally equal to the new damage increases. They've also adjusted the way dual attribute weapons will scale to try to make them more competitive with single attribute weapons. This is going to hopefully offer some more build flexibility. There were also some armor changes. Physical and elemental armor ratings will now be scaling consistently across the armor classes. So this is going to mean that heavy armor now has the...
This seems way more fluid than other videos that I've seen. Like him even fighting that wolf, like him jumping back, it seems way more fluid than in previous.
More competitive with single attribute weapons.
Videos that I've seen.
Hopefully offer some more build flexibility. There were also some armor changes. Physical and elemental armor ratings.
Did he just swap weapons there too?
More competitive with single.
What's he got out right now? He does. I don't think he's got a spear out. What does he have out?
Attribute weapons. This is gonna
hopefully
offer some more build flexibility.
So he took his bow out and then he switched to a spear here.
There were also some armor changes. Physical and elemental armor ratings will now be scaling consistently across the armor classes. So this is going to mean that heavy armor now has the highest armor rating for both physical and elemental damage, while light armor has the lowest. Each weight class of armor will have 3 different types of armor distribution: physical focused, elemental focused, or a balance between the two. And with these armor changes, they've also significantly reduced the amount of armor that's provided by shields, while also standardizing the weight of shields across tiers. All of this also plays into how the equipment loadout is going to be adjusted. So they say here that they want each equipment load to have a unique role and strengths, so they've made some major changes to how equipment load works. So for light and medium equipment loads, you will now get a damage bonus, 20% for light and 10% for medium.
There it is. Hold on. That's what he's talking about. You get a bonus for having lighter armor, bonus in damage, but you have less defense.
to how equipment load works. So for light and medium equipment loads, you will now get a damage bonus, 20% for light and 10% for medium. Medium and heavy equipment loads will now also get a bonus to their stuns, slows, and roots, 10% for medium and 20% for heavy. They've also then, with this, removed the accuracy, grit, damage resist, and stamina modifiers that were previously on those equipment load tiers. They've reduced the block stability bonus for heavy equipment loads from 35 to 25%. They've also increased the stamina cost for light and heavy equipment loads dodge from 40 to 50. So as you can see, they have completely changed how the equipment load system works, along with those armor changes and those attribute rework changes. I mean, those are some fundamental overhauls to a lot of these systems, and this isn't the only thing that's seeing such sweeping overhauls. So
I think light armor, you take more damage. I think it was saying that you do more damage. Was he not saying that if you had light armor, you're able to move around? Maybe I'm wrong. What did he say?
There has been major updates to every weapon to continue to push the ability differentiation by giving each ability a clear primary focus. And I can't stress just like how much is changing here. I'm actually not going to read each and every one of these weapon changes because there are literally 10 pages of notes of weapon changes. Every single weapon has gotten massive changes. Let me just give you one example. Okay, so for the spear, they've removed potent thrust, defensive adjustment, invigorating kills, and refreshing bloodlust. Those passives are gone. With this, they've added refreshing reach, precise jabs, invigorating crits, evasive maneuvers, defensive stance, strong conditioning, crippling jabs, aggressive maneuvers, and exposed wounds passives. They've reduced the pushback on light and heavy attacks. They've reduced the delay between attacks in the light attack chain. They've standardized the pushback distance between regular heavy and fully charged heavy attacks. Deadly reach now increases critical chance by 10% instead of increasing its damage. And there were numerous changes to the ability Cyclone, Perforate.
I don't know, this fight sequence doesn't seem like it's too clunky.
Between attacks in the light attack chain. They've standardized the pushback distance between regular heavy and fully charged heavy attacks. Deadly reach now increases critical chance by 10% instead of increasing its damage. And there were numerous changes to the ability Cyclone, Perforate, Skewer, and Vault Kick, which I would read line by line, but holy crap, this is absolutely bananas. And they've made similar changes again to every other weapon. These are drastic overhauls for most of these. I mean, I'm going to give you a link to those patch notes below, but reading through each of these would add like 20 more minutes to this video, and it's already long enough. So no, I'm absolutely not going to do that. But also, I think it's worth saying that odds are there will continue to be further adjustments. So a lot of these changes that are here right now are going to be tuned and maybe reversed. Like, things will continue to change between now and the time that most of us actually get to play the game again. But if you are curious about all of those nitty-gritty details, the fine-tune adjustments, check that link in the description below. It's crazy. One of the biggest things too, I mean, like Light Staff, they completely removed that speed of light, that blink ability that everyone was obsessed with using. That thing is literally gone. There's just so many changes. It's really crazy. Combat, the weapons, the way armor works, equipment loads, the way attribute points work, they're changing so damn much. So yes, there you go. Once again, another massive update for New Worlds, and I gotta hand it to them. I was not expecting this. Like, when they first delayed the game from its initial release in May 2020 and then pushed it back to August, and then in August they said, you know what, we need more time to add more content. And specifically when that preview event happened, they were like, man, there's a lot that people are wanting from this game that just isn't in it. But I wasn't sure realistically how much they were going to do. Like, I knew that we were getting new zones coming. I figured that they might add some new enemies and new weapons, but they've continued to do so much. Like, month after month, we continue to get these big updates. We've got these new PvP systems, the inclusion of dungeons. We know about 2. There's likely more coming. We've been getting a bunch of new enemies and new weapons added to the game. And then all all of these balance adjustments. The fact that like every weapon in the game has just got a complete overhaul, yeah, it's bananas. It's crazy. And we still have some months to come. There's 5 months. We've been getting updates every month. There's 5 more months until the launch. And in this time, I fully expect we're going to hear about more expeditions or dungeons. We're probably going to be getting more details on Outpost Rush about as well as the different locations and actually how it's going to function. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we got another end game zone. I think it's absolutely possible that more weapons and enemy types are added to the game. I just don't know what else to say other than wow, like exceeding my expectations. And no, I'm not trying to jump on the hype train here or anything. I just, the literal definition of the phrase, my expectations have been exceeded. I was not expecting this. I don't know why. There's nothing else to say, literally. So there you go. I'm looking forward to hearing about these continuous updates. I will keep keeping you guys afloat with these changes as they come through and as I find them worth talking about. There was so much here. I didn't even like go line by line of this update. There's so much more that I barely scratched or didn't even go into the fine details. Check that link below if you want to read through all of that. It's a lot, but I'm looking forward to hearing more. I'm looking forward really to actually getting my hand.
Wow. I'll be honest, when I played pre-alpha, I really enjoyed the game, guys. That was a couple of years ago now. I had a really good time playing it in the game. I played in it with a couple of other people, Zulace and Tips Out. I had a blast. And that was in pre-alpha, and I was really looking forward to this game. But then shortly after the pre-alpha ended, they changed the PvP system from open world to where it was basically consent or by consensual PvP, much like how retail World of Warcraft does it. And immediately I lost interest in the game. I was like, okay, I'm done. You fucked the game for me. But this update, I would still want to see what they have to do with the PvP systems. If it's just instance-based PvP, I'm gonna be turned off from the game pretty quickly, probably. But a lot of the other stuff that they brought into the game, it looks like it would be at least worth trying the game. Whereas I can say up until recently, I was completely turned off from the game. I had no interest in trying this game after. But the last couple of videos that I've seen, including this one, has made me kind of at least consider trying to play it. So the way it looks right now, I'll continue to watch the videos as they come out, see what updates they come out with, what new PvP systems they have, and their types of battlegrounds and that sort of stuff. I also kind of like the way that they've got instance dungeons or how they look. Some of you are saying graphics don't mean shit. If you can have good gameplay and good graphics, I've said it before, saying it again, you can have both. So I would like to see them maybe clean up the clunkiness even a little bit more with their PvP. But watching this video here and comparing it to videos from the past, like a year ago or whatever, it's night and day. It's completely different the way PvP looks now, based on or even just combat in general. And we were watching, most of this video was from somebody that was a melee character, and that's where it looked the clunkiest. And in this video, it looks a lot better. So, let's see. Someone just responding to your. Sorry, hold on. I got to catch up on chat here. How long did you play it? For the question, and why do you? Well, I played it till the end of pre-alpha. Like they invited us to play pre-alpha, and we played it until we weren't able to play it anymore. And we were under an NDA at the time. That's since been lifted, so I can tell people, yeah, I played in the pre-alpha. But I had a blast playing the game in pre-alpha up until we weren't allowed to play it anymore. Vid is on screen, good. You can. Let's see. Would it be a fair conclusion that most people work and don't have time to put extra time into more than one MMO? Sure. But if they're not enjoying World of Warcraft or they're not enjoying other games, why would they not try another game? And I can tell you what, right now, one thing that people in MMOs will always do is they'll always likely at least give another game a shot if it looks good. I've been playing MMOs since 1997, dude. And one thing I can tell you right now is when there's a new shiny object, it's amazing how quickly people that are glued to one game will at least go try another one. So if this game turns out to be good, I played World of Warcraft now for whatever since it came out, and then off and on since Cataclysm came out. If it's a good MMO, you will. I promise you, if Blizzard doesn't clean up their act with the bots and all that sort of shit, I could see myself switching. It might not be this MMO, but if it might not be New World, but if another MMO comes out that's really good, I can see myself switching. Why not? Where you build ships and castles and every weapon had to player made, but it failed because it didn't really get the advertising. I believe Darkfall. Darkfall came out much earlier than 2009, I think. I don't know what video game you're talking about, though. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about for that video. It was a good video. I liked the video, and it was very informative. It will actually lead me to wanting to be paying more attention to New World as it comes out. Apparently, I think it's coming out in August. Is that right? August 21st or something like that is their next due date if they don't push it back. And quite frankly, the fact that a video game developer is willing to push their video game back because it's not ready. You know how many games in the past I've seen get completely destroyed because the game was not ready and they pushed it to come out before it. I mean, I could probably list off 20 games that came out way too early. So the fact that they said, no, you know what? We could make a ton of money now or we can make the game proper. So I like the fact that they've done that. Anyways, I hopefully that you guys enjoyed the video here. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, you can leave a like or a comment down below or come watch me on twitch.tv/Alodar.